it's just so special for such our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
Hey there, TJ here, and welcome to Yeahthedees, where I'm going through our round 19 loss to the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium on Saturday, the 23rd of July. We got the points in Alice Springs last week, but unfortunately, off the back of a 6-day break, we just couldn't quite get the job done in what I felt was a pretty fun game. Like, this is probably one of the more enjoyable games to watch for the year. I feel like feels a little bit like deja vu from last year because we lost to them at the same time of the year, and I guess we're feeling a bit similar. It's a bit worried after such a good start. Are we still good enough? Are we still, going to finish in the top 4? Are we going to play finals? We're sitting second and we're at 13-5. This time last year, we were 13-4 in a draw and just lost to the Bulldogs. I don't think I've seen enough to make me doubt that we're not going to be able to compete for finals. We've had a much harder draw than we had last year, and we're sitting around the same spot. Now, last year we went on to play Gold Coast, West Coast, Adelaide and Geelong. This year we have Freo, the Pies, the Blues and the Lions. So we've basically got like an 8-week finals campaign to come up. 4 weeks of these 8-point games and then 4 weeks of finals to go. So we're going to be playing at the level for a very long time, and the club's done a lot of loading towards this stage of the season, and I think we're a really good chance against Freo this week. But I'll get into my predictions towards the end of the video when I go over the ladder and stuff. Relevant news this week has been the ramp up by the media in trade talks. They need some stuff to talk about. They're trying to seek clicks on all their articles, and what gets people to click? Trade rumours. So they were saying that Luke Jackson has bought a property in March in Fremantle for $1.7 million, which honestly doesn't make much sense to me. A rookie wage is usually around $150 that you would get in to enter. I understand that he re-signed a 3-year deal when he joined, so he would have gotten a bit more. But the amount of deposit you'd have to lay down on a $1.7 million property is probably about $320,000 straight up. So where the hell would he have gotten $320,000 from? Yeah, I don't understand how he could have gotten a $1.7 million property. Players buy property all the time. Will he go? I'm not sure. And if Fremantle are going to pay him that much and trade that much for him, it's probably worth it. I honestly don't think we'll miss him that much. We're only going to miss him once Gawn's not around. He's been pretty average this year. And I really like Luke Jackson. I can see the potential. I can see how good he is. But on output, I don't know. The Angus Brayshaw trade news, there's been rumours going around. He got a deal signed this week. I've heard it's for 5 or 6 years. And it's going to get announced on the Gus and Gorney podcast, which I tell you what, that would be very Angus Brayshaw to do so. He was asked about his contract on SEN this morning, on Gary and Tim. And if you've got 10 minutes, go have a quick listen to that interview. It sounds like he's preparing for the last contract of his career, and he mentioned that he loves playing on halfback and playing with the Melbourne defence. So he seems to be loving his footy. He loves his position. I know he likes living in Melbourne. His girlfriend lives here. So everything looks good for Angus Brayshaw to stay with the club. Maybe he's waiting to see what happens with Luke Jackson, as that will maybe create a bit more opportunity for money. But we'll wait and see. I'm not too worried about Angus Brayshaw, and out of all, if we had to lose any player from our list, Luke Jackson's one that we could cover. He'd be silly to leave anyway with the way that we're going, and you wouldn't want to play against us, I'm sure. I'm sure you absolutely wouldn't want to play against us. Teams this week, and we had Oliver Petty and Wiedemann in for Luke Dunstan, who was the Medi sub, out. Jake Lever, unfortunately, with his shoulder, did not get up, and Ben Brown has some knee soreness. I have a bit of concerns about Ben Brown's knee. Simon Goodwin mentioned that he would have some niggles pretty much for the rest of his career in that knee, so it's going to be sore here and there, and they're just going to have to manage it. That makes me worry a bit about things pushing forward, but hopefully they can manage it well. Bulldogs had probably their best side in for the year. Ours was pretty close, but obviously missing Jake Lever. Something that we've been very much missing this year is is consistency. We had a very blessed injury year last year, where this year at this stage of the game, only 5 players have played every game. That's Petrarca, Angus Brayshaw, James Jordan, Charlie Spargo and Bailey Fritsch. They're the only 5 players to play. None of them are defenders. So that means the biggest impact has happened in our back line, and most of them has been coming out from injury. So May's missed 3 games. One he was out early, 2 he's missed. Lever's only played 13. Rivers and Petty have only played 12. Salem's played 8. Hibbo's played 6. So it's hard to get consistency in the back line when people are coming in and out. And that's our one wood, is getting that defence right. And I've been able to see it for parts of games. It was its best probably against Brisbane after the first quarter. It's not quite there yet. It doesn't quite have the synergy. And I'm wondering, is it because Brayshaw and Salem are too similar? Have we got too much of the same in that back line? I'm not sure, because that's the difference. And Brayshaw has been fantastic all year in that position. He's had a bit more consistency than Christian Salem. Christian Salem not quite back to his best. Maybe that's just from the injury earlier in the year. So the Bulldogs started well. They got the first couple of goals off the board, and then we were able to sort of tighten up our defense. We got very much sucked into a shootout this game, and that's what this first quarter was about, until we could get on top towards the end. So Bulldogs really threw everything at us, and then we were able to have this awesome 5-goal run towards the end and start to put a little bit of a gap on them. We were able to hold it throughout the start of the second quarter pretty well, until after Cody Waitman's goal, where we then went to kick another 4 goals in a row. So it was very much a momentum shifting game. They would get a bit of a run, and we would get a bit of a run. We kicked 6 centre clearance goals this game. So that's 36 points from centre clearance, which is massive. Most teams average about 10 points. They're lucky to get 2 goals a game from that, and we got 6. So it's just who's getting the tap to the ball, who's winning the ruck contest. Is it Max Gawn? Is it Tim English? And then who's getting their hands first to the ball and spreading? When we get the momentum, we get a run on it. When the Bulldogs get momentum, they get a run on it. And we were very much sucked into playing the Bulldogs game. There was 20 goals scored in this first half. That was the most goals scored in over 2 years. It was a crazy first half. Absolutely fanatical, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed seeing Bebe get 4 in the first half. I thought he did great. Stephen May had a really great game, held Aaron Norton to only 1 goal, and I felt really comfortable going into halftime 15 points up. I thought, it was a pretty even game, and we did pretty well, but yeah, just couldn't quite get enough on the board in the second half. Only lost the third quarter minorly, but still gave them way too many chances, and they were able to kick goals to still sort of keep momentum, even though we were answering back and getting a few more, and sort of keeping the margin around that 15 points. Got down to 13 at 3-quarter time, but I thought we were going to be all right. And then Jamara Ugle-hell just goes fucking bonkers and turns into Buddy Franklin for half a quarter. And it was just ridiculous. Like, he ended up in the right spot all the time. So we just got beaten by one bloke having an absolutely unreal game, and the pinnacle of that was his 3-step bomb from 55 to really ice the game at the end and to take it out of our chances. The Riley Garcia goal wasn't too bad for them as well, but yeah, just good play by them. They ran the quarter out a lot better. Was this because they had an extra 2-day break? You could say so. I think there's a bit of coaching involved that really affected the way that we played this game. And it is, whenever we get leads, we seem to put the cue in the rack and just play defensive footy, where we all want to see that finals footy that we put on last year, where we put the foot down and just went. And if you've watched the documentaries, if you've heard the interviews after that game, Petrarca and Oliver talking about wanting to keep going, to want to keep going harder, and Stephen May's telling them to slow down and to play defensively. So if he's telling them that in the grand final, and we've seen us put cues in the rack in games, and in games that we've lost when we've been 20, 30 points up, that's in, most of our losses besides, say, Geelong, where we've had a lead and then given it up. I believe that this is being coached into the side, and I think it's a bad idea because we're taking the foot off the pedal. We're trying to run the games out, which could be saving injuries and things like that. You know, I'm sure there's good reasons for it. I'm sure it helps with athleticism and things like that. But when the other team gets momentum and kicks a couple of goals in a row, we're not able to flick the switch and come back again, where we were able to do that last year. We were able to hold sides and choke sides. But when teams are playing very quick football, very fast transition football, also kicking the football away from the way that we set up, not going to Max Gawn when he's down the back, avoiding Stephen May as well, and trying to come around and find other options. They're using the way that we play to dictate the way that they play. So they look up and go, oh, he's there, that's not an option, and they go to the next option. So we're going to need to start combating that as well, because the way that we used to defend isn't able to hold up because they're not playing the same against our defense. When we have momentum, we need to keep going. We can't be getting to this point where we're 4 or 5 goals up, we're 20 points up, whatever it is, and then we start slowing down. The best way to beat teams is to keep kicking goals. And with the way that these games are gone, and we've lost too many games in the same way, something's got to change. It just has to. And it was mentioned in the SEN interview with Angus Brayshaw. Seriously, again, I'll say it, go listen to it. He thinks that when we're like 20, 30 points up, because we're the premiers, that subconsciously it's just going to get done. They're just going to win. They're just going to run out the games, and they're just not being ruthless enough. So unconsciously, the players are not ruthless enough in executing their roles. They slack off a little bit, and this is why we're in the bottom 4 or 5. I think we're even bottom 2 for pressure this year, because they're not doing it. We've gone from one of the best pressure and tackling sides to one of the worst. And I think this is the difference. It's the difference when we get a few goals up, we slack off completely, and then we let a team just get their run on. And then to go from putting in 6 out of 10 effort to 10 out of 10 effort is really difficult to switch when you've already let the chemicals in your brain and your body start to relax and pull the adrenaline down and all that sort of stuff. It's hard to flick back on. It just doesn't come across like that. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the game. I still really enjoyed it. I was very impressed by Jamara Ugle-hell's game. Very surprised that they wanted to call it some sort of redemption. It's like, guys, you won by 10 points and had 100 points kicked on you. Like, we just had a shootout game. Don't think there's any real redemption there, but good luck to them. If it makes them feel better, good on you. Angus Brayshaw had most possessions for the game with 29, Clayton Oliver 28, Max Gawn with 25, which is a decent effort considering he looked very sluggish after copping a big knee to the back earlier in the game. And I just don't think he's quite there with his foot yet. He doesn't seem to be leaping at the level that he usually does, or having the impact that he usually does. But, you know, hopefully he'll get there. I thought Trakavani was solid. May was solid in defence. But, yeah, we just couldn't quite get the chemistry working, and they got a few too many chances, the Bulldogs. Kicking 17 goals for the game against us is absurd. We haven't had that many goals kicked against us since probably 2019. And it's not a Melbourne game doing that sort of stuff. So that's why I mentioned earlier, I think our consistency with the back line's been hurting. But I don't think we have a personnel problem. I think we've got a really strong list. I think we can back in the players to get some consistency together in the back end of this year. Angus Brayshaw, the most metres gained, Michael Hibberd, Clayton Oliver, Max Gawn, James Jordan all involved. James Jordan looked a little bit sore with his knee, apparently did a medial. Stephen May had 5 intercept marks, Petty and Gawn and Brayshaw with 3. Bailey Fritsch with 10 score involvements, Jake Melksham with 9. Been pretty happy with Jake Melksham's game. His elite kicking's really helping at the moment. Got a few players just going a little bit missing. Not enough tackles in the forward 50. Just a bit more work needs to happen around that. We were pretty clean with the ball. We had some decent percentages in terms of disposal efficiency. Harms, Melksham, Gawn, Viney, not too much. Viney's always under pressure though, so you kind of expect a low percentage from him. They had a bit more of the ball. They used the ball a bit more than us. Always going to happen with their handball and kicking game. They had 9 more inside 50s, but only won by 10 points. So that just shows how close it was. We were a bit more efficient inside 50. Of course, the Bulldogs won the free kick game because they just always do for whatever reason. I don't know how that happens, but it's happened for 6 years in a row. And they win by vast margins. It's just, yeah, I don't have an answer for it. I don't think they're first to the ball all the time. I don't think they're all necessarily bad decisions either. I think there's just a lot of non-decisions against the Bulldogs. We smashed them in hit-outs, but I still think Tim English played a really good game, especially around the ground. Got smashed in clearances around the ground, but we were pretty good from the centre. I guess being one down at the contest against the Dogs because we're trying to play a floating backman really hurts with the stoppage clearances. Beat them in contest, but didn't beat them out loose. Yeah, there's not really too much else around that. Just, biggest lead, 30 points. All right, let's get into the coaches' votes. Jamara Ugle-hell and Marcus Bontempelli got 8 votes each to top out the coaches' votes for this game. Stephen May with 5, Adam Trullo with 4, Ryan Gardner, Clayton Oliver with 2 each, and Ed Richards, which means it would have broken up to the 2 coaches seeing it like this, with one coach giving Marcus Bontempelli a top 5 votes and the other coach giving Jamara 5. Stephen May got 4 votes from one coach and 1 vote from the other, and Clayton Oliver picked up 2, probably from Simon Goodwin. On to my votes now, and I gave 1 to the Weed, Sam Wiedemann. Thought he presented well as our only real big forward, unless Jackson was down there. I thought he did a really good job and presented well. I think this game was actually the best our forward line has performed. Speaking of forward lines, gave 2 to Bailey Fritsch for his 4 goals in the first half. Would have liked him to get a bit more involved in the second, but still, amazing first half. Kicked well, got 10 score involvements. A lot of people dog him for being goal hungry, but I really liked him in this role, playing a little bit further up the ground with Wiedemann as the deep forward. Gave 3 to Michael Hibbert. I thought he did a pretty good job on Cody Waitman. He got a couple of sneaky goals, but I thought Hibbo played really well. Great game from Hibbo. He's put 2 excellent games together back to back. 4 votes to Clayton Oliver. He was definitely our best midfielder. Just another solid game by Clayton, even with a broken thumb. Gave 5 votes to Stephen May, clearly our best defender. Kept Norton down to 1 goal, and if we had Jake Lever, it would have looked a lot better. But gave the 6 votes to Angus Brayshaw. He was definitely best on ground that game. Onto the VFL, and the KC Demons are still undefeated at 15-0. Beating Footscray over at Whitten Oval 66-43. Bit of a low scoring game, especially in that first quarter, 8 points to 3. But we really kicked away in that second, kicking 5 goals. Cade Chandler ended up with 4. He was definitely, he's probably best on ground, even though he didn't have a lot of it. Oscar Baker did have a lot of it. He had the most disposals with 34, and he had 4 handballs, so 30 of them were kicks. Returning from injury in this game was Disco Turner and Blake Howes. They had strong performances coming back. Turner was quite capable after having a month on the sidelines with a smashed up face. Blake Howes was back after injury. Luke Dunstan just keeps putting together solid games, but nothing too special. Bailey Laurie was just okay. Like, he wasn't a standout like he was in the previous couple of weeks, but was pretty good in sloppy conditions. Jacob Van Rooyen, very solid in conditions. I really love the way that he competes and presents at the ball. He's going to be a very handy forward in future. I don't think he'll get a game this year in the ones, but possibly next year. I think when he gets a bit more size on his body and can deal with more men, he'll be in, and he has all the right attributes. Oscar Baker, I mentioned he had 34 disposals. His speed could be very handy against Freo, and I'm not sure if that would be an option or not. Apparently James Jordan's going to play despite having a really sore knee, but I would have been very tempted to bring Oscar Baker in just to change it up to give us a bit more speed. Jaden Hunt was very good, showed good run and carry on a few occasions when he got the chance. Seemed to enjoy not having a lockdown role. He seemed to have a bit more run and was able to be a bit freer from defence. But Jake Bowie had a really excellent game where his class absolutely shone through. He's really pushing to come back into the main squad. And he had a very, very tidy 20 possessions. So solid game from the VFL, still on top, 15-0. Go the KC Demons. On to the ladder, and we're still second. There's another couple teams even with us, but we're still second. So we're still up there. I know a lot of people are scared about us not finishing in the top 4, but I'm not afraid of that yet. We've got 4 games coming up. Look, Freo have been very similar to us this year, and I think Brisbane as well. All 3 teams are good teams, but they have their days, and Freo's just not quite switched on at the moment, and we're better than Brisbane. So when it comes down to it, I really think we're going to win 3 out of the next 4 games. I know we're better than Brisbane. I know we're better than Carlton, and I know that we can beat Freo. Collingwood, they've had our number a little bit, but we should be able to get them. So I'm not sure which one of those four will drop. It'll probably be the Collingwood game. I think we'll beat Freo, Carlton and Brisbane, but we'll just have to wait and see with what comes. So I'm not too scared about what happens. I'm not too scared about facing really any of these teams in the finals, because finals is a different beast. And when the Dees are in finals, we've seen them play with ridiculous dare and take the game on and win. But we've got some really interesting games this week that I also can't wait to watch. Geelong versus the Bulldogs. So 2 weeks in a row, Geelong played the team that we last played. And they almost got rolled by Port. Port almost got the job done against Geelong. They were very, very lucky not to get done by Port. Things would have been looking a little bit differently if they had lost that game and we were all even in that top four. Brisbane have got Richmond, so that should be a really interesting game. Brisbane have not won at the MCG since 2014 or whenever it was when I last mentioned it when we played them. And now they play Richmond there, who will be dog hungry to get this win. We've got Freo, Collingwood's got Port. I think Collingwood might even drop that game, we'll see, because Port have been playing some pretty good footy. But yeah, that's pretty much the teams there for the week. And pretty much my thoughts for the game. So thank you so much for watching another episode of Yeahthedees. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below about how we're going this season, what your worries are. Maybe I can put your mind at ease if there's something that you're specifically worried about with the Dees, because I haven't seen enough to make me go, we're not winning the flag this year. All I've seen is that we're not putting enough pressure on, and some things just aren't going our way. And those two things can be quite easily fixed. We're not sitting here going, oh no, Clayton Oliver's out for the year, or we're missing Gawn for the year, or we don't have any forwards, or May and Lever are out. We've got none of those worries. Like, yeah, they've been inconsistent and not coming in, but we've got enough of the squad there. I think we'll be fine. Take a deep breath. Please like and subscribe to the Yeahthedees.
Petrarca! Oh wow! How good is that? Sparrow to make it a 3-goal, 3-pointer dive. He's got it! Surely not another one. Handball to Oliver, streaming through. Bang! Bang, bang, bang! Melbourne are the premiers for 2021!
And it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.